one important thing about dilutions is that majority of the dilution questions, most of the dilution questions require this equation. C1V1 is equal to C2V2. Everybody have come across that? Okay. As I said, most of the questions are based on this, but the wording is different. The way they are worded is very confusing. So you need to figure out what's happening and then see if you can use this equation. Okay? So that's the first thing we will do when we do any dilution question. We will see whether we can apply this equation. So have a look at this one. What volume of 90% volume by volume alcohol is required to produce 3 liters of 70%? So I'm required to produce 3 liters of I'm required to make 3 liters of 70% from 90%. So how much of 90% I would need? So can you understand that? So I can simply apply C1V2, C2V2. So we can just solve it for this. 3 times 70 divided by 90. That will give what? 2.33 liters. So simple, C1V1, C2V2. One more thing you need to make sure whenever you're using C1V1, C2V2 is that the units on both sides are the same. So if you're using percentage, it should be percentage here. So volume should have the same units on both sides. Sorry, the concentration should have the same unit and the volume should also have the same unit on both sides. So we need to make sure that as well. Second question, what is the strength of the solution such that when we dilute 10 ml of it, it gives 100 ml per, What is the strength of the solution such that 10 milliliters diluted to 100 ml produces 5% weight by volume of the solution? So I am making 100 ml of 5% by diluting 10 milliliters. The question is that what is the strength of this solution which I'm going to dilute? Right? So simple, we can apply C1V1, C2V2. Yes? No? Come on everybody. Okay, so 100 mils, 5% we are producing from 10 mils. Just solve this 100 mils. 50, I think. So the answer is 50% here. How many milliliters of hydrocortisone liquid will be needed to prepare 30 grams of 0.25% cream? So it's a very different question here. I have an elixir or a syrup here. The concentration of that is hydrocortisone liquid 40 milligrams per ml. And I need to make hydrocortisone cream from that syrup. And the strength of that cream should be this. Okay? So let's start with the end. So the strength of the cream I've been given, which I have to make, is 0.25 grams per 100 grams because it's weight by weight. Okay? So 0.25 grams per 100 grams, that's what I have to make. But I have to make 30 grams of this cream. So I'm trying to figure out first how much hydrocortisone I need in the final cream, right? I'm trying to find out how much hydrocortisone would be needed in the final cream. So from the strength, I know it would be 0.25 grams per 100 grams, but I have to make 30 grams of that cream. So if 100 grams will have 0.25 grams, 30 grams of the cream will have, getting different numbers, but let me check. 0.075. Is that what? So 0.075 grams. So now I have figured out that in the final cream, I would need 0.075 grams. Let's convert it into milligrams because here it's milligrams. So 0.075 grams will be how many milligrams? Going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, decimal move towards right. 3 places, 75 milligrams. Right? So now I have figured out that in the final cream, I would need 75 milligrams of hydrocortisone. So I need 75 milligrams of hydrocortisone. But I have this liquid, the serum. So from this, how would I get 75 milligrams? Strength is given, so if it's 40 milligrams is present in 1 ml, 75 milligrams will be present in 1.8 or approximately 2 mils. Right? So in this type of a question, I had to make a cream from a syrup. So I started with the end. I figured out how much hydrocortisone I actually need for the cream, which was 75 milligrams. And then I've calculated how much of milliliters, how many milliliters of that syrup will provide me that 75 milligrams. Physician prescribes ophthalmic suspension to contain 100 milligrams in 8 mils. So I need to make 8 mils containing 100 milligram. The pharmacist has 2.5% suspension. Okay, so I need to make 8 milliliters of 100 milligrams. And I have 2.5% suspension. How many milliliters of this suspension I would need to make the required order? Can we use C1V1 here? Come on, everybody. First of all, we need to make sure that the units are equal on the both sides. So I know from this the percentage which I have to start with. Do I know the percentage of the final solution? It's not given, but can I calculate it? Why can I not? I have been given 100 milligram will be present in 8 mils, so I can calculate the percentage. So let's figure out that percentage. So if 8 mils is to be present in 100 milligrams, in 100 mils it would be how much? Sorry, this should be 0.1 grams because percentage is grams per 100 ml. So I know the solution which I have to make, it contains 8 mils. In 8 mils, it needs to have 0.1 grams. So 100 mils will have 1.25 grams. So that means the percentage of the solution which I have to make is 1.25%. Right? Again, just pay attention that I have been given what amount of drug will be present in what volume. This is what I have to make. So from this, I worked out the percentage. So percentage of the solution which I have to make is 1.25. Now I have got the percentage on both sides, and I have got the volume on one side as well. And I can figure out the volume here. Okay, so C1V1, C2V2 are ultimate formula. C1V1, we can apply that. So we can use that 2.5%. Now 8 mils, 1.25. The answer is 4. So I need 4 milliliters of this suspension to make this final one, which will have 100 milligrams in 8 mils. Okay, everybody? So just I remember that I'm trying to figure out whether I can use C1V2 and C2V2 formula. So let's start with what I have to make. I had to make 100 milligrams containing in 8 mils. So I figured out what would be the percentage of my final solution. So I figured out that the percentage of my final solution would be 1.25, and I have to make 8 mils of that. I have got a starting percentage, so I can use simply C1V1, C2. Let's see if we can use C1V1 here. How many grams of a drug are required to make 100 ml of 1 in 25 solution? So let's start with the end. I have to make 100 milliliters of 1 in 25 solution. Well, so 1 in 25 means 1 grams in 25 mils. So it's a very straightforward calculation. We don't even need C1V1, C2V2. So if you just figure out 1 in 25 which I have to make, 1 in 25 means 1 gram in 25 mils. And I have to make 100 mils. So for 1 gram would be present in 25 mils. For 100 mils, I would need how many grams? 4. Okay, so we just start with the end, what we need, and then that will help. Should we move on? Question number 6. How much of a 0.75% weight by volume stock solution is required to produce 5 liters of 1 in 10,000 solution here? So I have to make, again, start from the end, I have to make 0.5 liters of 1 in 10,000, right? And I have to start with 0.75. Can I use C1V1 here? Yes, because it's given that what I have to make, and I have got a starting percentage, I have to find out the volume of this. I can use C1V1, C2V2 here again, but I would have to make sure first that the units are the same on both sides. So starting percentage, the concentration of the solution which I have is in percentage. So let's convert this into percentage as well. So 1 gram in 10,000 mils. So if 10,000 mils, let's make it 1 gram. So in 10,000 mils, it's 1 gram. In 100 mils, it will be, because percentage is out of 100 mils. So that will be 0.01 grams. So again, the concentration of the final solution is given in 1 in 10,000. So I'm trying to convert that into percentage. So 1 in 10,000 equal to 0.01%. Remember, we did this yesterday. We did the conversions between the different types of concentrations, right? So 1 in 10,000 is equal to 0.01%. So this becomes 0.5 liters times 0.01%, and this here I have this, right? But the final volume is needed in milliliters. So the next thing I will do is I will convert this into milliliters. So that will become what? Going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, the decimal will move towards right by 3 places. 1, 2, 3, 500 mils, right? So I need 6.67 milliliters of this. Okay, everybody? Again, the emphasis is that let's see first if you can use C1V1, C2V2. Majority of the situations you can use C1, V2, V2, C1, V1, C2, V2, but you just have to understand the question carefully. Yes. The next two questions are based on allegation method. Again, very different type of calculation. Now, this is a calculation where you have been given two different concentrations, and you have to mix them and make a certain concentration. Okay. So again, whenever you are given any question in which you are given two concentrations, you have the solution or cream of two different concentrations, and you have to mix them and make some other concentration. You will use allegation method. Okay, so that's what we'll use here. So, but have a look at the question first. You are required to make 500 grams of 35% liquid paraffin. So I have to make 35%. You have an ointment that contains 55% and an ointment that contains 15% liquid paraffin. So I have 15% and I have 55%, and I have to mix them to get 35%. One quick method to see that the allegation method is applicable is that the concentration which you have to make should be in between the two concentrations you are given. Okay? If it's like that, then you can easily apply allegation method. So again, you have to figure out, you have to check that the concentration which you have to make is in between the two concentrations which you are given. If it is like that, you can use allegation method. So here, is it like that? I have to make 35 out of 15 and 55. So that 35 is in between 15 and 55, right? So I can use allegation method. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Now the next question is that how much of this I need to mix with how much of this so that I get this. This is what allegation method will do. Okay. So that's how the allegation method works out. So I have to make, okay, so I have to make 35%. Okay, everybody pay attention, please. 35% I have to make. And I have to make from 55%, and I have to make from 15%. So I have been given 55% and I have been given 15%, and I have to make 35%, right? So 55 minus 35 is what? 20. And 15 minus 35 is 20. Right? Make sure that you write the numbers at the right places, otherwise this allegation method will not work. So I write the concentration which I need in the middle, and the concentrations which I have, I write them here, and then just subtract them. Okay. Now once you have got this, now this is what I need. I need 20 grams of 55% ointment, liquid paraffin, and I need 20 grams of 15%. Okay. Once you have done the subtraction, go parallel. So I need 20 grams of 50%, I need 20 grams of 15%. And I mix them and I will get 35%. Everybody with me so far? Yes? No? Okay, now but when I mix them, I will get 40 grams, right? I take 20 grams of 55% and I take 20 grams of 15%. In the end, I will get 40 grams of 35%. Right? Okay, let's take some time to get this absorbed. Okay. So when I mix 20 grams of 55% and I mix 20 grams of 15%, I get 40 grams of 35%. But I have to make 500 grams of 35%. Okay, so we can just use the same thing. So if I have to make 500 grams of 35%. Okay, now this is where it gets a bit complicated. I need 20 grams of 55% ointment when I have to make 40 grams. Okay? So 55% ointment, let's take with, again everybody, if I take 20 grams of 55%, I will end up with 40 grams of 35%, but I have to make 500 grams. So if for 40 grams, I needed 20 grams, for 500 grams, I would need how much? If I had to make 40 grams, I needed 20 grams of 55%. But I'm making 500 grams of this final. 250. So that's for the 55%. Let's look at the 15% ointment. How much of that I would need? So if for 40 grams, I needed 20 grams, it's actually the same calculation as this. So for 500 milligrams, I would need 250 milligrams, 250 grams. Okay, everybody, look at this side first again. Look at this side first. When you use the actual allocation method, it gives you the different amount of the final cream. But you have to look at in the question what amount is needed. So once you get this figure, then you can work out this. So everybody with me? We'll go through another one, another example. Shall we move on? Okay. Another example of alligation ointment. You have an ointment that contains 55% of the ingredient. You have to make 15%. Sorry, you have a 55% and you have 15% and you're required to make 40%. Okay? So I have 15%, I have 55%, and I need to make 40%. Can we use alligation method here? Yes, because the required concentration is between the two given concentrations. So I have to make 40% from 55% and from 15%. Right? So the same allocation method, 55 minus 40 is 15, and 15 minus 40 is 25. So once I have done this, we go parallel. So that means I need 25 grams of 55% ointment, and I need 15 grams of 15%. But that will give us again 40 grams. That will give us 40 grams of 40% ointment. Right? So what would we do? But we need, really good look at in the question, we need 50 grams. So what do we do next? We know that, yeah, for every, we know that the amount we will need for every cream, 55% and 15%, but that will give us 40 grams. But we have to make 50 grams. Okay, so now for every cream, I will work out the quantity separately. So let's do it with for 55%. So for 55%, if for 40 grams, I needed 25 grams. So for 50 grams, I would need 25 divided by 40 times 50. 31.25. So this was for the 55% cream. And the same way I would work it out for the other cream, which was 15%. So for if 40 grams, I needed 40 grams, I needed how many grams? 15 grams. It's coming from here. So for 50 grams, I would need
88.74.
yes. Okay, that's allocation method done.